What's up, guys? A couple weeks ago, I got moved into my new house. It's got a massive 32 by 30 foot shop with a 12-foot ceiling, so super high. Today, I'm going to take you for a little tour of it since I got all moved in. I'm going to show you what we got going on the G8, do a little build breakdown, and then I'm also going to show what I got going on with that white Impala over there for a buddy. So we're going to start on the double side where most of my stuff is. Obviously, first things first, got the bike. It's a 2023 CF Moto CLX 700 Sport. There's a Heritage, but this is the Sport. So it's 700cc, parallel twin. And I have a few aftermarket modifications. Obviously, it's a Chinese bike, so there isn't a lot of the big name stuff you find on other bikes, like Kawasaki, Suzuki, Honda, all that. It's mostly AliExpress. So we got aftermarket grips, hand grips for the clip-ons. The sock, it was like 50 cents. So that was super, super cheap. Aftermarket clutch lever, fully adjustable, so you can have it positioned wherever you want it. We got the frame sliders to protect the plastics because all of these OEM parts are relatively difficult to get because obviously CF Moto is just kind of starting out in the US, so a lot of their parts you still have to order from China. Knockoff Yoshimura exhaust, that was also AliExpress. It was like 80 bucks for the whole cat, which isn't really a cat, and then the slip-on. But it sounds decent. There's a little silencer you can put in if you don't want it to get any louder, but you just want it to look cool. And then I have the tail tidy back here, which I think it just looks better being up than the full wraparound arm. And that's about it for the bike. Moving back in the corner, a big reason I got this garage, gas furnace. Fully insulated garage, gas furnace, keeps it super warm in the winter. In the future, I want to add AC, but that's next year project. For now, this box fan keeps it good enough. And then 100 amp sub panel. This runs to the house, still 90% empty. And then there's extra wires ran across to the other side in case I ever wanted to add anything. Obviously, I'll be adding 240 for welder and all that fun stuff later. But for now, it works. And there's also, probably can't see it, but in the wall, there's an extra piece of conduit that goes from the garage to the basement of the house, which is nice because now there's a concrete patio in between the garage and the house. So if I ever want to add anything, there's an option for it. Speakers, every garage you got to have some speakers set up. You got to bump while you listen to what you're working on. 3D printer. This is for all of my little side projects and custom mounts and brackets and all that stuff. We'll get into that in a little bit. Obviously, multi-monitor computer setup. Garage, you got to have it. Listen to music. Look at your lyrics. Just vibe. Do whatever you want to do. And then 3D software. Giant pegboard, which is very, very nice. Keep everything organized on the walls, whatever. This big dog. This is an 8 HP 70 from a BMW with the 4.4 liter twin turbo N63. And this is very weird, but I have one in my G8. And I I'm using the turbo Lamix system, which you have to solder a PCB in place of the internal TCU, and I messed it up beyond repair because I suck at soldering, so I had to buy another one. And the part is $400. This transmission was $400, and I got the part. So this is the bad one, but I don't know if you'll be able to see, but some of these solders are not the hottest. So I had my buddy, Brendan, who's very good at soldering and computers and what have you, and he did one and I did the epoxy like they recommend, and it works perfectly now. So this is just my extra parts transmission. And then, don't know if you can hear that, but that is not wood. There is a 1/8 inch steel plate on top of this workbench, which is amazing. So I have my transmission stand bolted down, not going anywhere. Vise, same thing. It's just awesome to have something like that into a house you're moving into, not have to spend the money for it. Little air compressor, very messy hoses. I need to get a reel, but that's later. karaoke receiver for my big speakers. Obviously toolbox setup. I'm running out of room, so I need to get another one. I want to get a really wide one with a wooden workbench top, so that way I can keep that steel plate workbench for messy projects, and then have a little clean area for my laptop. Mini fridge. Every garage gotta have a fridge. Another toolbox for all my AN line stuff. This is the start of the 3800 stuff. I tore the whole engine down. So this is the heads, the fuel injectors, the lower intake manifold, all that. We'll get into that in a little bit too. And this corner is something I eventually want to turn into like a little clean corner. Obviously right now that is not the case because the 3800 Impala project. But I got my welding table, the multi-process welder, TIG, MIG, stick. I'm in the process of learning TIG, not very good. Still need to add 240, obviously. And then a 300 cubic foot, 100% argon tank that I got fully filled from Chicago for like 300 bucks. So that was a very, very good deal. Just had to drive a little bit for it. Big ol' like 150 pound garage TV. Obviously it's super old, so I don't care if it gets dirty, which is why it's a garage TV. Other speakers, and then a little weightlifting area. So this might look familiar to some people. It is a very commonly used vacuum pump. This one is specifically from a C7 Corvette. GM part number. I got it from a junkyard for about 40 bucks. And I'm putting it on my G8 because my cam is so big, I make shit for vacuum at idle. So I have no power brakes and I just push right through them into burnout and everything. City driving is horrible. So I'm gonna add this. Here's a brake vacuum switch. So have a hose going from here to a check valve through the switch and then to my booster, so that whenever I have good vacuum, this cuts off. Whenever I have no vacuum, this turns back on. And then got a little inline to keep it plug and play. And then this is a relay box from Amazon. I really like it. It's all of these fuses go through the relay so that if something happens, you blow the fuse, you don't mess up a relay. So relays are cheap, fuses are even cheaper. I got it pre-wired from Amazon for like 30 bucks, which is really nice. I added this inline connector for all the low current switch circuits. And then I need to get another bigger connector for all the outputs. Right now I have like 3 different relays that are very roughly wired into my car, no inline circuits, so this will help me clean up a bunch of stuff. And that brings us into this. I will do a little walk around and just let you take a look at the wrap first.
Just fake it till you make it. Only works for a while. I'm looking for an exit, a permanent exile. So tired of self-abuse. I dug deep but hit a wall. I gotta look for clues on the outside of my skull.
Real quick overview of the G8. This is a base model, so originally 3.6 V6 GM, 5-speed, automatic, all that. Super slow for what it was. Then found a GT drivetrain dropout, L76 6-liter, put a cam in it, and spiraled, found a Supercharger deal, got it rebuilt by Kong and exported, so it makes all the fun whiny noises now. ZL1 lid, milled to fit under the stock hood to keep it looking sleeper, no cowl hood on this one yet. We got an inner chiller, so it uses the AC to cool the Supercharger coolant. That's nice, it keeps my IATs super cold. 103 millimeter Kong throttle body, 5-inch intake that goes down into the fender. We got some cool Moto parts. I'm sponsored by them, shout out to them. We got the radiator, never had any problems. I've had it since I've had the V8 in it, which is like 3 or 4 years at this point. Never had an issue with that. The coolant overflow, it's awesome, nice mounting bracket, keeps it looking clean. It's black, so it kind of blends in. Universal oil cooler, also black, hides behind the grill, has the wide M, looks super cool. I did have an issue with this a while back. One of the mounting brackets cracked and it was seeping oil. They sent me a brand new one, no cost, no anything, and they just let me keep the old one. Obviously, that one in the garbage because it wasn't working right. But so their warranty is minty. Other than that, we got full Doshworks fuel rails, fuel pump hanger, DW300C pumps, their hardwire kit. So it's just using the stock fuel pump command as an input for the relays, and then have a Hobbs switch hooked up. So I'm only running both pumps in boost. When I'm not in boost, I'm only running one. So that keeps things a little cooler in the fuel tank. And then behind the V8 is a BMW 8HP70 from an N63, which if you guys don't know is a 4.4 liter twin turbo V8. So it can handle some power. Being controlled by the Turbo Lambic, which takes the place of the stock TCU and has a lot of cool adaptations and drive modes and self-learning and trans brake, which is cool. I got to use that a couple times at the drag strip and it's super fun. I believe these headlights are from Taiwan, I think. They are Crazy the God headlights. I saw a guy running them on Instagram and I thought they looked super cool. I'll give you a little show of what they look like. They have, I think they're called angel eyes. They're like halos and then they change with the switchback. So just normal. You got the halos around all the individual lights, the like Spec D circle around there, except I think this looks better because you can't really see the individual LEDs. It's more of a straight bar. And then when you turn the turn signals on, the halos actually change to yellow, which is awesome. That's the kind of stuff that I like OEM plus looking stuff, which in my opinion is kind of how that looks. So up here, I think that's about it. I need to find a place to add my little relay block that I showed earlier and my vacuum pump, because obviously the engine bay is getting full. It's getting very, very full with all the stuff, the catch can, the boost manifold, the big intake, fuel pressure regulator, the power steering, reservoir relocation, the overflow, just everything. It takes up space. Some more stuff that always gets people going. We'll let you just take a look for yourselves. Obviously right now it looks normal. I replaced this stock subframe with a Camaro SS subframe when I snapped both of my axles on the street after I put the supercharger on. And you may or may not know, the BMR drag sway bar does not fit with the stock spare tire tub. Most people, they just heat it up and push it out of the way and like melt it because it's weird fiberglassy material. I just cut it out. I need to add a plate or something. I want to do like maybe aluminum plate with plexiglass in the middle or like carbon fiber full thing, but that's a future project for me. But as you can see, I had this sandblasted and powder coated, so it's brand new, no rust. Delrin bushings for the subframe, so super hard. It's not gonna flex at all. We got a 345 Camaro diff with a Eaton True Track in it, so very strong. Had it rebuilt at a shop. That's one of the very few things I've had done at a shop because I didn't want to do it. And then we have that, the main carrier. We have stock used Camaro SS axles on both sides. I have an extra pair of brand new ones, but these ones haven't failed me yet. So we're gonna keep them in, see how long they last. And then we have the aluminum upper control arms. And then we have the 15-inch BMR conversion for the lower control arms. And we got some aftermarket toe arms in there. So everything in the rear subframe, brand new. I believe as it sits, the only thing I need to change to actually run a 15-inch wheel would be one of the radius arms. I think right now it's too big, but for now 17s work perfectly fine for me. Exhaust, obviously you can see that. It's a solo exhaust, catback, 2.5 inch. If I ever need to change anything, I might go to 3 inch, but again, it works perfectly fine. And then up front, we have the Cook's 2-inch primary headers to 3-inch collectors. So it's very, very loud. There is a muffler, a single dual inlet, dual outlet muffler up in the middle section, but that doesn't do anything. It is ridiculously loud. Okay, moving on to the inside. Obviously, shifter looks weird. It's not made for this car. It's actually a Toyota Super Shifter, which works for the 8 HP because that's what the new gens have. Went this route because all the BMW shifters, boom, BMW logo, super big, right in the way. I wanted something clean, like you can't really tell what it is, what it's from. And the Toyota Supra Shifter fit that. No logos, no nothing. And it looks pretty decent, OEM plus, like I said. Still need to finish designing my trim and everything, but other than that, it's pretty clean. Let me show you. The Turbolamic has this little dial. You can change what mode it's in. These are like different tunes, if you will. Like 8 is dyno only, 7 is supposed to be drift, 6 is drag, and then it gets lesser from there to like street economy, if that's possible in a car like this. And then it shows oil temp, 23, this is all in Celsius. And then if you have any transmission codes, like what I used to have, it would say code and then the number 021, 023, whatever, so that you know what the issue is. And then, so I need to make a little thing for that. Then I also have this, because at the drag strip, I can't really look at that tiny screen. Got a little big old shifter indicator, so I can see, boom, big, right in front of my face, bright red, what gear am I currently in. And then a chiller only button, which what this does is it actuates a block off. So whenever I click the button, blocks off the cabin section of the AC, so that part is not flowing anymore. So that's what makes me able to run this on the track, because if it's not running the cabin portion of the AC, there's no condensate made that can drop onto the track. It's all self-contained out there within the supercharger and the foam unit out there. Some other stuff I got, AirPro V2 unit, which separates the HVAC controls from the stereo, which is a big thing in the G8s. Makes it kind of hard to replace the stereo with an aftermarket one. So got that in, got a unit that supports CarPlay, so very nice, OEM plus again. And then this is a 2009, not a 2008, so it never came with these gauges, the Atari gauges as people call them. So I got that from a 2008 and then sent it off to get reprogrammed, so it has the cool 3 sections for battery voltage, oil temp, and oil pressure, versus just the weird bars with the ticks that don't really give you a specific number. So these are actually useful. And then up here, we got my, I don't remember, I think this is Aeroforce gauge, which you can just kind of flip through the different PIDs. Right now I have it set to intake air temp so that I can see what exactly is going into my supercharger. Is it cold? Is my inner chiller working? It should be below ambient, which most of the time it is once my AC gets going and gets cold. AEM air fuel ratio, obviously that's super important. It's helped me out a couple times when I was at the track and my fuel pump neck was cracked below the hat, and so one of my pumps was working, but it was just spitting it out on the other side. So at really low, like idle and like light cruise, it would be fine, and as soon as you would start to lean into it, it would just max lean. And so that's helped me out a lot. And then boost gauge, because obviously you want to see what this tray up here, it is not OEM. This is something that I 3D print. It's, if you pull this out, it has a wireless charger under it. So I made it as big as I possibly can so you can fit all the Ultra, Max, Pro Max, whatever, all the very, very big phones in there. My S23 Ultra fits with a case, and then it's very hard to see, but back up here, hidden, is a super fast charge USB-C. So a little more OEM plus stuff. Moving on over to the Impala project. So that has had a NA 3800. I don't remember exactly what series it is, but it was completely stock. I believe around 150,000 miles. My buddy's owned this car for a long time, and supercharging, it's always one of the things he wanted to do. And I finally got a big garage, so I tore it apart for him. Parts everywhere, everything. Obviously, 4T65 transmission, not very good, but we gonna need to degrease all of it, clean it up, because there's a lot of dirt and grime everywhere. But right now we have the engine out. It actually looks very good. The tensioner is still working properly. The chain looks good. Obviously it looks old, but that is no big deal for us. It just means the rings are gapped for boost, right? This is my 3D printer. It's a Elegoo Centauri Carbon. $300. It can print just about anything. Right now it's printing my TPU, which is like rubbery, flimsy, super flexible material for my charging trays for the G8s. So it's doing the Holden logo with the lion, the Pontiac logo with the arrowhead. And it's pretty fast. This printer can print just about any material straight out of the box. You do your calibration prints, and it's pretty good. I'd say it's worth the money. My trays, they print out of ASA, which is like ABS, but it doesn't yellow in the sun, so it's slightly more expensive, but very high quality. And to do that, you need an enclosed printer to keep the heat in. I have a chamber heater back there. I don't know if you can see it, but I added that afterwards to help keep it stuck down to the bed. And the only issue with ASA is the fumes that it makes when it prints off is toxic, which is why this printer is out in the garage and not in the house. Some other 3D projects I've worked on, other than the mats and the charger trays, I actually have a different version of the charger trays that is dual USB-C, and they're in the front. But besides that, the shifter trim for my car to help mask the fact that it's a different shifter, try to keep it looking OEM plus. This is funny. 2000 Silverado 1500 tailgate bump stop. This is actually very small. It just looks big in Fusion. Printed that out of TPU and it worked amazing. Saved my buddy from having to order a $5 rubber piece on eBay. And then this shifter adapter for the Toyota Super Shifter to be able to bolt up to my G8. There's a little cutout for the harness, pedestals for all the mounting for the screws for the Super Shifter, and then holes to put nuts and bolts through to the trans tunnel. That's about it for this walkthrough. If you guys want to see any more content about the G8, the bike, the random 3D printed projects, the 3800, or just stuff I'm doing in general, be sure to subscribe and follow.